Welcome to the Prepped and Polished podcast, the podcast that empowers you to take control of your education, featuring weekly interviews with influencers in the world of education, as well as tutoring tips, lessons, and updates. And now, here's your host, Alexis Avila.
And welcome back to another episode of the Prepped and Polished podcast. This is your host, Alexis Avila, and this is episode 170. Be sure to join our Prepped and Polished community. You can find us on Facebook, and you can find us on SoundCloud. You go to soundcloud.com/prepped and polished. And if you ever have a question or reaction during or after the podcast, you can email me at radio@preppedandpolished.com, and I'll get back to you right away. On today's episode, Jessica comes back. She's been on the show 2 times already. Go back and check out our other podcast with Jessica Yeager. On today's episode, Jessica talks about her wildly successful Dream College Summit, which will feature this year 26 interviews of experts in the world of college admissions, including myself. I'll be on there too. Jessica also gives us her 3 best takeaways from the Dream College Summit that she did last year. You can find that information if you go to dreamcollegesummit.com. And the Dream College Summit, again, is a collection of online expert interviews from people who both attended and gotten their students into dream colleges. Now, Jessica will go through 3 of her best takeaways, including, you don't want to rush on your SAT test. Rather, you really want to move steadily through the test and go for accuracy. Another tip is for college essays, you got to really let go of your college essay ego, and let people help you make it a great essay. And then another tip is when you're doing interviews with Alumni Interviews, interviewers, give them detailed questions. Don't be vague when you're doing your interviews. They do not like that. So you're going to get a lot of takeaways, but you got to go to the dreamcollegesummit.com to get the full experience. Now let's get right to today's guest with Jessica Yeager, and you're going to get a lot of great information. So I hope you enjoy the episode. Let's get right to it. All right, Jessica, thanks for coming back on as a third-time guest on the Prepped and Polished podcast. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Happy to be back.
Great. So can you remind us of your background and how your background got you to where you are today as a coach for teens who aspire to get into elite colleges?
Absolutely. So I went to Harvard for undergrad and MIT for grad school, and coming from Kansas City, from a school that didn't really send students to those schools, it was a real reach for me to get to those schools. And when I was in high school, we had, one counselor for our entire school of 400 students, and there just wasn't a lot of information out there about how to apply to these types of schools. And I ended up figuring things out for myself. And I got into Harvard, MIT, Yale, Stanford for undergrad. And so I've always tutored. I've tutored since I was in 7th grade. So I love working one-on-one with students. And a few years ago, I realized, there's a lot of bad information out there. And there's also just parents who, they maybe are from a different country that has a totally different system, or just, college is a totally different, applying to college is a totally different ball game today. So parents need help figuring out what to do for their kid for applying to these really super competitive schools. So I started Impress the Ivies, and that's my site where I give tons of information to parents and students, and I do college application coaching. And then last year, I hosted the Dream College Summit for the first time. And this was a way to share a ton of awesome experts with parents and students. With the videos, they're available totally free for the first 48 hours. So they're just getting out tons of information to parents and students. And having it all in one place so you could consume it really easily. And so that went so well that this year I'm doing it again with even more awesome speakers to help parents and students apply to college and really put their best selves forward when putting these applications together.
Yeah, now, you mentioned that the videos at the Dream College Summit are available for free for the first 48 hours. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So anyone all over the world can, on real time, not real time, or for the first 48 hours when it launches, access the videos.
Yeah. So
That's
this
amazing.
year, yeah, absolutely. So this year, the summit's going on from Monday, August 28th to Thursday, August 31st. So all of the videos that go live on Monday, August 28th, anyone who, signs up with their email address can access those videos for 48 hours, as many times as they want, and get all of those awesome videos for free.
What's the catch?
No catch. It's a lot of
That's
information
amazing.
to digest in 48 hours, but it's, I want to get this information out to people because it's so valuable and it's, like I said, there's so much bad information out there and people don't know who to trust, who really knows what they're talking about and who just, is maybe working on old information or just maybe isn't right for your student. So I just really wanted to get that information to parents and students.
That's amazing. So what were like some of the takeaways that you got? Like, let's just say we have, you had a bunch of experts. What were some like 5 takeaways that you got from your first Dream College Summit?
Sure. So for my first Dream College Summit, and I'm having almost all of the experts from that summit back for the second one. We talked to people about test prep. So we got tons of really good, helpful tips for ACT, SAT, studying for those. One thing that really stood out to me was from Lauren Gaggioli, who is on this summit this year, but she talks a lot about how students, when it comes to the ACT, you're in such a time crunch. And what students think they have to do is they have to go really fast because you're in such a time crunch. But accuracy, so getting those questions right, is going to get you a lot higher score than rushing through and answering all of the questions and not getting them correct. So that was something that I thought was really eye-opening because students have this, I got to finish it. I got to finish it. That's what we kind of teach students in school, but that might not be the best plan for you when it comes to the ACT. So I thought that was a really good one from last year.
So don't rush through a test just for the sake of finishing compulsively. Really focus on getting some right along the way.
Exactly. And we had Ethan Sawyer, the college essay guy, talk about college essays. And one thing that stood out to me last year was he talked about how students get really attached to their essay. And, they don't think about maybe it would be better if I let go of these things and really just worked for the best possible essay instead of really, I wrote this essay and the words on the page make so much difference because I put so much effort into them, this first draft, and I don't want to throw it away. But really you have to sacrifice your essay of yesterday for your better essay today. Wow. That was something that really stood out.
So it's almost like let go of your ego, your labor of love, like compulsively trying to, what's in your mind is the best might not be what the admissions officer really wants to see, and it could be greater than that. So that's awesome. Love it.
Exactly. And then one of the other speakers from last year, again, she is on this year, is Anna Wren, and she's the founder of Elite Advantage Prep, and she talked about alumni interviews because she's been doing alumni interviews for Georgetown for years. And she said one of the biggest mistakes that students make during alumni interviews are not giving detailed answers. So, as a interviewer, she has to write a page about you. And if all you're giving are, one-word answers or just a few a few thoughts and you're not giving her material, she has nothing to write about. So that make
Wow.
their life easier. Give them really detailed answers.
That's awesome. So just, really articulate,
Hmm.
what your answers. Don't be vague.
Right.
They'll pick up on it.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
exactly. So those are three sort of very different types of
Very
tips
different.
last year.
You can already see the scope, the wide array of expertise you get at this. It's just like,
Mm-hmm.
but all very important to the whole process.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's awesome. Okay, so tell us about, and you already kind of mentioned it, but tell us about your next Dream College Summit. Again, remind us when it launches, and
Mm-hmm.
tell us how this one will be different from the first one. So,
Absolutely. Yeah. So this time we have 26
whoa,
amazing experts. Yeah.
wow,
And so not only are we talking about essays and test prep and tips for parents and the application in general, but this year we added financial aid and scholarship experts because I know that's something, with the price tag of some colleges, 60K plus, that's hard for anyone. So getting that information to parents to really help them make smart choices and get those, full tuition scholarships that their students might be eligible for. So important. And we also added in some STEM experts. So that's something that, is really a buzz now is STEM, both in applying to specialized programs or schools, but
wow.
also, the STEM industries in general. So we got some STEM specific experts this year, which are just really cool. And we have former admissions officers, we have interview tips from Anna, we have resume tips. So it really is the entire gamut of college admissions for parents and students. And like I said, it runs live from August 28th, Monday, through Thursday, August 31st. And all you have to do is go to dreamcollegesummit.com, or there'll be a link, I'm sure, under this video. But go there, sign up with your email. It's totally free. And even like, as if all the videos weren't enough, I'm also going to send anyone who signs up my ultimate college application um, guide. So you can have
Nice.
that in addition to all of these packed with valuable
Wow.
information for both parents and students.
Wow, that is amazing. Can't wait to check this out. So, tell us about what you love best about what you do.
What I love best about what I do is working with students one-on-one. I just, when you have a student get into their dream school or get $180,000 worth of scholarships, you just feel like, wow, like the student did all the work, but I really helped them reach that dream of theirs. And it just feels so awesome, and it's so exciting to work with them and see them achieve those things. That's what I love most, for sure.
Awesome. And what's the best way to get in touch with you? You already mentioned, but just say it again.
Hmm.
Best way
Yeah,
to.
so yeah, absolutely. So you can go to dreamcollegesummit.com, put in your email address. I'll send you all the info for the Dream College Summit, as well as my ultimate guide for the Common App. And that you'll be on my email list. I send tons of information to parents and students and anyone else who signs up about different college admissions tips.
Awesome. And I, subscribe to your newsletter, and it's really informative, and you definitely have like a really good way about you where you don't feel like you're just getting like advice from a very friendly Ivy League graduate who just kind of is on your side, and that's really
Mhm.
refreshing. So thank you for that.
I appreciate
Uh,
that.
Now, teenage years is an exciting time, but it can be a little nerve wracking. Any advice for
Mhm.
those kids getting ready for to cross that bridge?
Yes. So I think I've said this before, but I really think it's so important is, the saying, you are the sum of the 5 people you hang out with the most. That is so important for especially teenagers to understand and hang out with the people that really bring them up and, support the things they want to do and encourage them and, aren't bringing them down, aren't, negative people, aren't getting in trouble. Like, it's really important that you surround yourselves with people that care about you and want you to succeed and really bring you up, because that's something that's true throughout your life. And that's something that's a really good time to learn are the teenage years.
That is awesome. So Jessica, thanks so much for coming on again, and looking forward to the Dream College Summit coming up in August. Appreciate your time.
Awesome. Thanks. Mm-hmm.
And this wraps up our show today. This was episode number 170 with Jessica Yeager of Impress the Ivies. I hope you enjoyed episode 170 with Jessica Yeager. Episode 171 is coming next week. We do a weekly show here. And it will be our next tutoring tips episode, which is to plan an effective SAT essay using the soapstone strategy. You're going to get a lot of great information on how to write an SAT essay. So tune in for that podcast episode next week. For another related conversation, go back into the archives and check out episode 126 with Jessica Yeager, where she talked about how to craft your best college application. To access today's episode 170 and all of our episodes, just go to our website, preppedandpolished.com/podcast. You'll find it. Thank you for joining us on the Prepped and Polished podcast. Now go out there and take control of your education.
You've been listening to the Prepped and Polished podcast. For more information, check out preppedandpolished.com. Also, you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Thanks for listening. Class dismissed.